Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, we continue our understanding of goal setting from our life coach program, which we are using the growth model GROWTH. I remind again, G is for goal setting and how we're going to achieve a certain result in terms of helping our client or our coachee. R is reality check. O is obstacle and option. W is for way forward and will. T is for the tactics. H is for habits. So all this is going through the GROWTH. Now I'm still discussing on goal setting, the continuation of the previous video that I did before this, that we talk about the coach role in terms of goal setting. So we have the goal setting in terms of the coach role. I have explained in detail about how we're going to talking about questioning technique, listening technique, clarifying and encouraging. So these four areas are the basic skills. As a life coach, you must be able to elucidate the coachee or the client, the various issues that is confronting them, so that they can have a way forward and a way out of the dilemma. So that is their role as a coach. But what does coachee or the client role is or are? Alright, there are a few parameters that they have to understand, which you got to infuse to them gently. Naturally, you cannot be abrupt. So these are the four things that we have to work on. One is awareness. They must be aware of what are the challenges they are facing. They cannot say, I don't know why, I don't know why, I don't know why. So that's where we will use other tools like, for example, root cause analysis, the 5 why. I'll give you the template later on. They must have some sort of awareness of the situational condition in which they are in, whether they are depressed or whether they have anxiety, whether they have money problem, whether they have addiction problem, whether they have a family problem, whether they have in the context of social and so on. So there are many aspects of this being and awareness of the actual situation. A lot of this awareness will be reflected to the past, all right, but we can then project the future and the now, because they must be able to know what is the situation now and how we're going to help them overcome that situation with their awareness. That means when through our question, listening, clarifying and encouraging, we try to create a sense of awareness. Okay, from here we try to reach out so that they can have a sense of awareness. So once you create the awareness, the second level is for them is to acknowledgement. That means, oh, I know now why I am in this situation. Oh, I know now I am addicted to ecstasy, this drug which I'm taking every day, and that I started because I went to a party and they gave me one, and then I find it so good and I use it when I was facing my exam. I excel in my exam, and I find that I need more and more of that, so now I'm addicted. So that is awareness, bringing from awareness to acknowledgement of the situation. So once you have acknowledgement, it's easier to tackle the coachee. It's easier for you then to move to the next level, that is accountability. That means then you can then infuse in them the sense of they have to change. They must be accountable for their current behavior. For example, if they are continuing taking addiction, then you can see how, for example, they are being controlled by the drug, this ecstasy drug, and they will then be always feeling empty if they do not take that drug. So at this level, their brain has already been changed. The brain circuitry is already been changed, because addiction in terms of drug addiction or even pornographic or sex addiction or whatever addiction, it actually changed your whole brain pattern and the whole brain thinking. And because of the flow of dopamine into the brain, because of these activities, it is very difficult to get out of it. That's why people who are addicted, because of the change in the brain structure and the brain, especially the frontal cortex, it is very difficult to break that habit. So, but the first step is always to have accountability, and then they take action in terms of their goals to take positive step towards achieving a way out. So these are the areas in which, through your goal setting, questioning, listening, clarifying, encouraging, you give them the sense of awareness, you give them the sense of acknowledgement, you give the sense of accountability, and you give them the sense of action. So if they can understand this whole cycle, from awareness to acknowledgement, from acknowledgement to accountability, from accountability to action, then you have hope in helping that person to overcome whatever is their situational condition. So as a life coach, your role is not to force this issue. Your role is to create a relationship out of love. Remember our motivational model, 6P, G and L. We started at the highest level, the L, the love, and the G, the giving. So you as a coach, you are actually giving yourself to that person, offering them hope, offering them a way out, offering them your love. Most important is a sense of love. It is not because, like, we are doing community work, like I'm doing this project, this program. So if I'm counseling somebody within the mosque community who's having a problem, especially young people now, there are so many of them, and it is actually overwhelming. How can one person handle that? That's why we have this life coach training program, hoping that we can transform the system of helping each other, not in the formal method where we just go to an ustad and talk to an ustad and hoping that will be cleared. It can't be done. There must be the levels of motivation. You must have motivational skill, then you must have coaching skills, then you have mentoring skills, and then finally you must have counseling skills, and hopefully by then you become a mental health specialist or psychologist or psychiatrist, so that the ummah can then benefit from this idea of how we can frame the ummah to face the challenges of the 21st century. It's a terrible challenge, because day by day we have this issue of young people committing suicide, young people doing self-harm, young people feeling no purpose and meaning in life, young people following the way of just nafs, just have free sex, free this, free that, everything. So they just go bubble along like a flotsam, like a bubble in the middle of the ocean that has no meaning, no purpose, no reality, and when they suddenly discover, they are already a bit too late. But this is the situation in majority of Muslims, especially Muslims in the West, Muslims in developing countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, and so on. We are facing exactly the same situation, and our brothers in the Middle East are also facing exactly the situation, but there it is more in a way control, that is like it's like a time bomb. It's just put underneath a big ton of dynamite, but everything is being suppressed, everything is being controlled by enforcement and so on, which will not work. So we must go about developing a good model in life coaching to help us at the community level, at the family level, starting with ourselves. First ourselves, as you say, we have 4 levels of coaching. First, we have to coach ourselves. We must have a perceptive worldview that is positive. Always be having shukr, gratitude, having the sense of fullness of the grace, the mercy of Allah, and from then you try to influence and try to motivate your family using our motivational skill, and then you try to motivate your close friends, especially now you're taking this life coach program, you're giving free. Start giving them this idea of the fullness of a good life offered to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth. We are here not to suffer, we are here not to self-harm, we are here not to just bob along the way of life without purpose and meaning. We have the full purpose and meaning, and that purpose and meaning can only come about if your client and coach are given the sense of awareness, the sense of acknowledgement, the sense of accountability, and finally the action that will bring them up towards achieving their short-term goal, at least. So from here, they set a goal, the goal setting, which I mentioned to you, the short-term goal, it could be on weight loss, it could be on reducing their addiction to SSC or drug, and then the mid-term goal and the long-term goal, and from then they can achieve the fullness of life, the fullness of the spiritual, emotional, mental and physical, the joy of being a Muslim. It's a wonderful life being a Muslim. It's such a wonderful religion. And from then they can understand why we say our prayer, why we do our zakat, why we do our fasting and all the other wajibah that we do, and how we can feel the joy of connection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At that level we reach a level of mahabbah, the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the love of our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the love of our family, our friends, ourselves, our community, the ummah and humanity and all goodly creatures on this earth will then be infused in us as our personality, and then we would then be able to be a good life coach, influencing others towards a most positive way of living this life, achieving peace, happiness and success, always knowing that we are the Vicegerent, the Caliph of Allah on this earth, always striving to make ourselves good, helping others to be good, and making the world good for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and all goodly creatures on this earth, inshallah.